Coming up on this week's edition of AU Hoop Talk with Coach Brennan, presented by Launchbox Golf, we'll preview the upcoming Patriot League schedule. Dr. Billy Walker, Director of Athletics and Recreation, stops by with his State of the Department address, and we'll find out Coach Brennan's favorite Christmas movie. It all starts right now. Welcome into AU Hoop Talk with Coach Brennan, presented by Launchbox Golf. Dan Lang alongside Coach Brennan, the holiday edition of the big show. Are you ready for the holidays?
Not quite yet.
Okay, well, you still have a little bit of time.
A couple games.
Let's jump into the fact that non-conference schedule is wrapping up, and then you're going to, of course, get into the Patriot League play. But let's talk about what you have seen so far from this squad in non-conference play.
Several things. One being that we've gotten better, I think, throughout the course of the whole preseason. I think we make, drastic improvements after each game, after every practice that we have. I think our guys are zeroed in. They sort of, they're coachable, they work hard, so it's just basketball, just getting better each day. And then I'd say the other thing would be just how many guys we're able to play, how many guys are contributing. I feel confident putting pretty much anybody on our team in the game and thinking that they're going to contribute something positively. Those are the two things that I'm most excited about, from this preseason.
What are a couple of things in particular that you were maybe concerned about at the beginning of the season, or when you first got the guys together, and that you have seen the biggest strides in to this point?
Probably the passing and the sharing of the ball. We got guys that can score, that can shoot. And it always seems to be a struggle to get them to understand how to play with other people. But I think they've all embraced it. You got, Saeed has been doing it, since he's been here. But he's, he can get to the rim at will. He can do so many things individually. So he was, a guy that, we always, we're always working on sharing the ball, getting other guys involved, which he's very good at. And now that we have more weapons, I think he's more confident in the guys that he's sort of, whipping the ball around to. And then just getting everybody else to sort of have that mindset. Jacob's wired to score, Jameer's wired to score, even Ben, Lebarski's wired to score. So getting those guys to understand that there's more to the game and just, it's a great skill that they have, and a great ability that they all have to be able to shoot and put the ball in the hoop and get points. But then, the next step is, okay, well, how do you play with other good players? And then all in sort of embracing that has been, a great pleasant surprise.
How tough has it been for Saeed to work on his game to incorporate everybody else? Because, there are some new faces and there's some guys that are getting increased minutes. And how is he feeling comfortable with everybody? And just, we've talked about chemistry ad nauseum because the chemistry seems to be so good with this team. But how he in particular has really taken to that component of it.
I seeing the ball go in the basket, when he's throwing the ball out to Jacob, and Jacob shooting 50% from three, and Jameer shooting over 40%, and Ben, getting in there, being confident and making shots. Stacy, all these guys that can all put the ball in the basket. So I think Saeed is constantly trying to sort of encourage them, give them confidence, get them involved. Because when he does, then things sort of just open up even more for him. So they sort of the two things play off of each other.
You mentioned Ben Lebarski a couple times. Let's talk about him a little bit and what he has meant as a freshman to this team, shooting almost 70% from the field. He's looked pretty good.
Yeah, no, I'm super excited about everything that he brings to the table. Mostly his attitude and his coachability. He's very, you talk about low maintenance. He shows up to work. He's, if he has like a slight injury, you don't really know about it, and he doesn't want you to know because he wants to be out there. He's a tough kid. He can defend. I talk about rebounding a lot and boxing out, and for a freshman like him to sort of hear the things that we're espousing, and for him to do it consistently over and over and over, which I've noticed on tape, is just exciting for me, and then obviously he has, really good offensive ability.
Is that really what popped your eyes when you were looking at him and recruiting him to bring him here to AU?
Yeah, I mean, he scored over 2,000 points in high school.
That's not too shabby.
Yeah, no, he can put the ball in a hoop. But he's like one of these guys that's positionless, so you never really know once they get, to this level, okay, well, what can he actually do against other, really good players. So his feel for the game, his dribbling, his passing, his ability to defend, multiple positions, he just brings so much to the table. So you think, you see it when you're recruiting, but you never really know until the guys show up on campus and, they're going live against each other and then they're playing in games. So the fact that, he just goes out and plays hard and aggressive and, he's relentless in games is something, it's a skill and, something that's exciting for me to watch.
One of the things after the George Mason game that you mentioned, the guys were speeding up things too much, that they were taking their shots too quickly, and you wanted to see them maybe slow things down a little bit. How do you preach that and then see it in practice? How does that, work from just you telling them that to the guys doing that on the court? Yeah,
I mean, it's a balance. I mean, one, I wouldn't say I want to slow things down. I think it's just getting a quality shot. So, it's always sort of a progression. You're playing against each other, all throughout the preseason, and things are a little easier. Then you get to games, and they're a little bit more difficult. And then you play a team, when we played Mason, they beat a bunch of really good teams, and they're a really good team. Defensively, they, they cover things up quickly.
They do.
So, getting the point across in practice as to, okay, you might be successful driving or shooting an open shot or something in practice, that it's going to close up. Hopefully you saw that against Mason. So what's the next thing that you can do? So mimicking that is always difficult. But to be honest, it's sort of partly my fault, and I told them this because I've been preaching be aggressive, So and I want them to continue to be aggressive. So it's just part of the the learning process where, okay, well now this is what being aggressive against a team like Mason means. You're not going to just have one or two cuts or one or two passes and have an open shot. You still have to be very aggressive, but it's not going to be that easy. So you got to sort of stick with your offense just a little bit longer.
Let's check out the Patriot League. You guys open up PL schedule on January 2nd against Colgate, the Raiders, and obviously they're a handful. How do you see the league shaping up as conference play is fast approaching?
Well, Colgate has so many weapons returning. They got the Player of the Year back. Jordan Burns had such a terrific year. Will Raymond's had such an unbelievable career, and I think they added firepower. And then Matt does such a great job with them. So I know, and they've tasted it. They're older. They're it's a couple seniors on that team that have been good and understand what winning's about. So that they're going to be ready. Every single time they go out on the court. And then then you follow all of the teams in our league. Loyola. BU, Lehigh, Bucknell, all these teams. I follow everybody, and they're all playing well. I was watching. Navy, took Mason down the wire. Loyola took Mason down the wire. So you're watching all these games, and they're, it's
no real gimmies.
No, I mean there's never a gimme, but it just shows how strong our league is, how well coached it is, how many good players are in the league. And it's been like that since I've been here. I don't think there's rarely been the first place team where they only have maybe 2 losses or something like that. I mean, it's every time you go out, it's you have your hands full.
Yeah, one of the guys, Andrew Kosteka, the guard with Loyola. I mean, listen to these numbers: 20+ points a game, 4.5 rebounds, couple steals, couple assists a game. The last guy to do that on the average, C.J. McCollum. That's a pretty good. That's a pretty good guy to be compared to. So Kosteka is going to be a handful as well with Loyola.
Yeah, no, he was great last year. I mean, defensively too. He gets steals and rebounds and plays hard. And just watching on tape, I mean, he's real comfortable with everything that they're trying to do offensively for him, and how he fits and how he helps other people on the court. So he's one of the top players in the league and just on the East Coast. But again, it speaks to the type of talent that's in this league.
The defending Patriot League Player of the Year is Rap Ivanauskas with Colgate, the senior forward. What makes him so tough to go up against? I think this year he's averaging like 14 points, 8 or 9 rebounds a game.
Yeah, well, he can do so many different things. I mean, he's big. He rebounds. He can score in the post. He can, make threes. He can take you off the dribble. If you put a big guy on him, he can take him outside and go by him. Put a little guy on him, he can post him up. And again, it's just, I think he fits well with, how they play and what they do. He's not just the dominant person on the team. I think they're so good because they share the ball so well. I think they really play really well together. And in addition to having, really good talent, it's just how they play, together that makes them so good.
And they're sharpshooters. I mean, they shot, 19 threes in their game against Green Bay, made 19 threes in the game against Green Bay. So that's got to kind of pop your eyes a little bit.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, they can shoot, but again, it goes back to the type of shots they get. I mean, they share the ball, they whip it around. So, having guys that can put the ball in the hole, but also, having a team that can get themselves, really good looks over and over again, it's going to be, a tough. I don't know how we're going to stop them after saying all that.
Have a little bit of time to deal with that as the Colgate game is coming up on January 2nd. But time for our first time out here on AU Hoop Talk with Coach Brennan, presented by Launchbox Golf. When we continue, Director of Athletics and Recreation, Dr. Billy Walker, joins the conversation. That's next. Welcome back to AU Hoop Talk with Coach Brennan, presented by Launchbox Golf. Now joined by Director of Athletics and Recreation, Dr. Billy Walker, and thanks for taking some time.
Good to see you, Dan.
Sorry I let you down this year. No pheasant shirt. We're only going with the festive red.
I know the Thanksgiving holiday. We like the pheasant shirt. That's really ducks, I believe, but
Yeah.
we've called it the pheasant shirt.
Right.
I am disappointed you're not wearing it.
Well, we're getting you on, I guess, a little bit later this year, but plenty of things to talk about. Let's talk, I guess, about basketball first, and that is where we're at with the men's program, and we're obviously up on Patriot League play now, and what you're seeing from the hoops team.
Yeah, no, I think we're seeing a lot of cohesion. They the team coming together, and I know Coach Brennan's happy with the direction, and he's happy on how these guys are really coachable. It's a coachable team, and I know he's excited about what he's seeing, that every day they're making progress. So we're really looking forward to getting into Patriot League play.
And the same for the women's side, Coach Jebbia, and they've played a really tough schedule as well.
They have played a very, very tough schedule, and they just hung the first half with Minnesota, more than the first till about the last 4 minutes with Minnesota, and this last week. And I know she doesn't like to say they're young, but they are young right now. So they graduated some key pieces last year, and so we're really excited about the future for both these teams this year once we start league play on January 2nd.
Let's talk about the cap and what that means for AU athletics and sort of where you're at with it, maybe if there's a timeline at this point or what you're hoping for.
Yeah, we're still in the design, design and the feasibility study phase for that, but it means the world to our department and all our programs, because it's not only going to be practice facilities for basketball and for volleyball, but a practice facility for wrestling as well as just a new intercollegiate weight room that's going to benefit all of our programs, locker facilities, medical training facilities. It's going to be fantastic, and we've as you know, we've gotten some lead donors to give us some gifts towards that already, and So we really got a lot of momentum rolling on that, and I can't tell you how excited I am about getting that done.
And when you look at just all that it's going to encompass, it's got to be a pretty big undertaking and
Yes.
something that
Yes,
you're pretty proud of.
It is,
going
yeah.
down that path and getting there.
Yeah, it's a very big undertaking, and it's something that we're really excited, that the leadership here at the institution is allowing us to go forward with.
Let's talk about the fall championships. A couple teams in particular did very well, got championships.
Yep.
That's volleyball and field hockey. Let's start off with volleyball and just how dominant they have been in the Patriot League and what Coach Goldberg.
So in the Patriot League this year, they lost their first league game against Colgate, and then ran the table, and then obviously won in the tournament as well, and then went to the NCAA tournament up at Penn State, had Towson first round. And it was one of the best matches I've ever seen. Went deep into five sets, and it was fantastic. It's one of those ones that the match is over. You're disappointed because you didn't win, but you couldn't be disappointed in the effort and the representation that they showed for the university. It was a fantastic match. And
when you look at field hockey, that's another program that what Steve Jennings has done with the field hockey program is also pretty eye-opening.
Yeah, and I know. They wanted to get back on winning the championship. They hadn't won it since 16. I say since.
Right.
But for the standards of both these programs, that's their expectation is to win it every year. So I know Coach Jennings was really proud of his team to go up and win that championship and get it back.
What does it mean to the athletic department that you run, that you head up, to have coaches like that have been so successful, that are so open to discussing their success and their philosophies with others? What does that mean to the athletic department as a whole, not just to their programs, but to the athletic department as a whole, to have those guys?
No, it's great. And, Barry is one of those coaches. He comes to everything. He comes to other people's games and matches. Steve does that kind of thing as well. And for our other coaches, our junior staff members, to see legends and their sort of Hall of Famers like Barry and Steve, it really means a lot to see them. I spend a lot of time in each of their offices just picking their brain on getting things on what we should be doing better as a department in our organization. So they're much more than just individual sport coaches to our department. There's no question.
Now, I know another sport that's really close to you is wrestling.
Yeah.
And this year, wrestling here at AU is doing pretty well.
Yeah, they are. And Teague's another one of those coaches that's been, national champ himself, and he's been very successful here. And he's got our guys wrestling really tough right now. In particular, we have two guys ranked right around the top 10. Tanner Harvey is ranked 9th, and Keyshawn Clark, who is still undefeated, 17-0, which is unheard of this time of year, and he's ranked 11th. And so we're really excited to get him into the Midlands, which is a big tournament at Northwestern over the holiday break, where you see a really tough competition from across the country. We're excited to see all our guys there. But Tanner's, people know about him a little bit more. Keyshawn has really come on this year and surprised people, so we're excited to get both those guys, all of our team, against some really top-level competition this Christmas or break.
And wrestling really has gotten some traction here at AU. I mean, you guys have had a pretty big event here.
Yeah. We host a couple different. In the last couple of years, we've experimented with going with some formats that are a little different, with like triple duels and different types of formats to get a bunch of schools in here at once and get the wrestling going on multiple mats in Bender Arena. It's really fan friendly, and the wrestlers like it as well, because they're going from one match to another, and they're not waiting around as long between matches. So these events have really gone over well.
Now, you talk about Bender Arena. One of the things that's really cool is when you come to Bender Arena and you're walking in, the lobby has been renovated and given some new energy. And
it's fantastic. We did that from a generous donation from Margie Bryant, and it's not even done yet. It already looks fantastic, and we still have a big mural to put up down the right side of the wall as you're walking into the arena. But we got some backlit logos out there, and the Hall of Fame has moved, and we got a touch screen, so you're going to be able to look up things from the Hall of Fame.
Oh, that's cool.
One of the backlit logos already turned into like a selfie spot. I see people coming in after games, all standing in front of it taking pictures. So Yeah, it's transformed what that lobby looks like when you walk in.
Are you going to be part of the mural? Are you going to be out there doing part of it?
Nope.
You're not going to.
No, it's kind of a timeline. You'll see. It's a timeline of AU athletics. So the very first picture, so to speak, is Pop Cassell, and then it's going all the way through just recent, and you'll see it. It's really taken a long time. We've gave him hundreds of pictures to put in different orders, and it's like I said, a pictorial timeline of AU athletics, and it's really going to be cool.
Nice. Well, thank you for stopping by, and happy holidays.
Absolutely, you too, Dan. Thank you.
That's Dr. Walker right there. We'll continue with AU Hoop Talk with Coach Brennan, presented by Launchbox Golf after this. Welcome back to AU Hoop Talk with Coach Brennan, presented by Launchbox Golf. And Coach, as Dr. Walker was just talking about the CAP Center, the Center for Athletic Performance, when that gets done, what is that going to mean for your program for men's hoops?
Yeah, I mean, it just allows you to keep up with the Joneses, to be honest. I mean, it feels like an arms race, with college athletics these days. But, I mean, I think we've been able to recruit well, with what we have so far. So I think that'll just, kind of put us over the top, and not just within our league, but, a lot of schools that we sort of compete against. It seems like everyone has, an extra facility or, a bigger weight room, whatever it may be. So I think it's just gonna, do so much for our program and the entire department.
Now let's talk about Polar Team Pro. And it's something that you guys are using this year. And in a sense, it's, I guess, a monitor that you're able to keep up with heart rate, GPS, acceleration, all of that on the players during practices, during games. First of all, is that exactly what it is? What is it? How do you see what it is?
Yeah, I mean, it just monitors their heart rate and tells you how hard they're practicing, essentially. I think it goes back to just all the bells and whistles that you have, every department has. It's all the analytics going on.
Yeah.
We just talked about the cap, being built. So this is just another thing that, I think having it, our trainer and our strength coach were very excited about this, just because I think it gives them concrete data to go back to your guys and say, okay, well here's where, you need to go a little harder in practice, or they give me feedback and say, okay, this is how practices have been going. You can dial it back a little bit leading up to games. But to be honest, it tells me essentially what I think I already knew, like that guy's running really hard and that guy's not. But it's always good to have sort of concrete data in your hand, so you can, sort of another way to communicate with your players. And I think they like it too. They like all the, the gadgetry and, sort of all the focus and the attention. We ask so much of these guys, in the weight room, on the court, and the competitive level is so high, and the weightlifting and the running and everything. So they have to be, in such tip-top shape, So I think being able to monitor it closely the way we do, allows us to keep them in tip-top shape, but not, grinding them into the ground, having them ready to, go through a tough league season.
So a lot of the guys are into it. They'll look and see what they did one day and say maybe, ooh, okay, I can do better this next day. I can do better this next week. Or, hey, what'd you get? I can do. So do you see that as almost as a competitive nature within the team?
A little bit. I think it was just more eye-opening to them. You know, I think it's you know, some guys thought that they might have been practicing really hard, but when the data comes in and you're able to compare it with other people on the team, you know, they see, okay, there's some work to be done there. But you know, it's just, you know, keeping track of everything that they do, I think, is important because we do ask so much of them. And you know, we have, you know, there's stuff in the weight room that monitors, you know, just the speed of their jumps and the lifts and all this kind of stuff. So you know, Jameer, when he transferred in from Minnesota, you know, his vertical jump went up by like 4 or 5 inches.
Wow.
So it just you know, gives you an idea of the type of work that they're putting in, but also what, you know, Coach Foster, you know, what he's doing in the weight room to help these guys become the best athletes that they can become. I think Coach Foster does a great job in not just, you know, bulking them up and getting them big and strong. It's, you know, having them be as athletic on the court as basketball players. So we're very much on the same page with that, and you know, I love everything that he's doing, you know, with these guys.
Let's talk about the next game coming up. Next opponent is Stony Brook, and Coach Gino Ford. What are you seeing from Stony Brook at this point?
Yeah, I mean, it's his first year, but I mean, they're playing really well. You know, I think they had, you know, a really good nucleus. They had a couple guys that were sitting out that are now playing, that can, you know, score and do a lot of things. So they're, you know, it's a great program. It's a great test for us, though. You know, it'll be very much like a league game, like one, you know, playing a Colgate or a Loyola or, you know, teams like that. So I think it'll be, you know, it'll be great, you know, to have them here to start with. But you know, I'm looking forward to seeing what our guys do against them.
And with this being the holiday show, got to ask you real quick what your favorite Christmas movie is. Do you go with something more like an Elf, or maybe a little more traditional, like It's a Wonderful Life, or White Christmas, Home Alone? Do you have one that you specifically
Well, we were talking
really
about
like?
this in the break, and you mentioned Bad Santa, not me.
Yeah.
But to me, I'll go with Home Alone. Home
Okay.
Alone's a, you know, a classic. It's vaudeville, slapstick, sort of throwback type of comedy. So I always get a kick out of that.
And anything with Joe Pesci is a quality flick.
Exactly.
All right, well, that'll do it for this edition of AU Hoop Talk with Coach Brennan, presented by Launchbox Golf. For Coach, I'm Dan. Happy holidays. We'll see you next time.